January as we start 2026, and this will be a continuation of chapter 12, which is Years in My Master's Hermitage, which by far, at least to me, and I'm sure to many of us, is one of the most wonderful chapters of this book. As we all come to the path in the beginning with so many questions, looking for answers, and one by one, our Param Guru, Swami Sri Yukteswar Ji, helps to open our heart and provide all the clarity which is needed. So, before we dive into the treasures that this chapter has to offer, we will first start with the chant, which is Lord, I am thine. Let's start with Guru Vandana. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Brahmanandam Ramaspadam Kevalam Jnanabhootim Dvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyadilaksham Ekam Nityam Bhalam Chalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Vigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Lord, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. I am thine, I am thine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. I am thine, I am thine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine, I am thine. deinem Dank. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. I am thine, I am thine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. I am thine, I am thine. प्रभु मैं तुम्हारा, मैं तुम्हारा, मैं तुम्हारा. प्रभु मैं तुम्हारा, तुम्हारा. प्रभु मैं तुम्हारा, मैं तुम्हारा, मैं तुम्हारा. प्रभु मैं तुम्हारा, तुम्हारा. हो जाओ मेरे, हो जाओ मेरे, हो जाओ मेरे, हो जाओ मेरे. प्रभु मैं तुम्हारा, तुम्हारा. हो जाओ मेरे, हो जाओ मेरे, हो जाओ मेरे, हो जाओ मेरे. प्रभु मैं तुम्हारा, तुम्हारा. प्रभु मैं तुम्हारा, मैं तुम्हारा, मैं तुम्हारा. प्रभु मैं तुम्हारा, तुम्हारा. प्रभु मैं तुम्हारा, मैं तुम्हारा, मैं तुम्हारा. प्रभु मैं तुम्हारा, तुम्हारा. हो जाओ मेरे, हो जाओ मेरे, हो जाओ मेरे, हो जाओ मेरे. प्रभु मैं तुम्हारा, तुम्हारा. हो जाओ मेरे, हो जाओ मेरे, हो जाओ मेरे, हो जाओ मेरे. प्रभु मैं तुम्हारा, तुम्हारा. हो जाओ मेरे, हो जाओ मेरे, हो जाओ मेरे, हो जाओ मेरे. प्रभु मैं तुम्हारा, तुम्हारा. हो जाओ मेरे, हो जाओ मेरे, हो जाओ मेरे, हो जाओ मेरे. प्रभु मैं तुम्हारा, तुम्हारा. हो जाओ मेरे, हो जाओ मेरे, हो जाओ मेरे, हो जाओ मेरे. प्रभु मैं तुम्हारा, तुम्हारा. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine, be thou mine, be thou mine. I am thine, I am. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, Friend, beloved God, Great Masters, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahasaya, Swami Sri Yukteswar, our beloved Guru, Paramhansa Yogananda, saints of all traditions, humbly we bow at thy feet. Swami Sri Yukteswar Ji, guide us to uplift our consciousness, so that we may receive your wisdom. Fill the cup of my soul,
Fill the cup of my soul,
which is thirsty for thy treasures,
which is thirsty for thy treasure,
with thy grace and divinity.
with thy grace and divinity.
Help us all to attune our will
Help us all to attune our
with thy wisdom guided will,
with thy wisdom guided,
through which
through which
we may all come back home to thee.
we may all come back.
Um, let's meditate briefly, inviting Yukteswarji's presence with all of us. Om Shanti. Okay, so for those of you who are following this book, perhaps maybe some of you online, we are on page 105 of the original version of the Autobiography of a Yogi. And if progress were to be measured by the number of pages we have covered, then I can say we've not made much progress in the first session because we are barely on the third page of a very long chapter. But I'm sure all of us have gone through this chapter again and again, assimilating each stanza at a time to really integrate all the wisdom which has been imparted to us. And we ended somewhere in the third last paragraph with this moral of the story which Yukteswarji had just shared, which is look fear in the face and it will cease to trouble you. And we spoke a bit about how if there is complete absence of ego, that also leads to complete absence of fear. Because if there is no ego, there is no point of reference. So, what is really there to be afraid of? So, with that, we can continue unless there is something else you would like to share.
No,
Now?
let's jump in.
Okay. So there is one more story that Yukteswarji shares with Mukunda. I will use Mukunda wherever possible to indicate the fact that our guru at this time is about 11 to 12 years of age and was known by that name.
No, he was 16 years. High school done.
When he first came to
Yes. This is 1910. So I think he's 16 or 17
then
years old.
17, yes, yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. Okay.
But he's still Mukunda because he's still under training.
Yeah.
Yukteswarji has a great job to do before he can turn the boy Mukunda into the monk Yogananda.
So here we go. Another early memory is my wish for an ugly dog belonging to a neighbor. I kept my household in turmoil for weeks to get that dog. My ears were deaf to offers of pets with more prepossessing appearance. Moral: attachment is blinding. It lends an imaginary halo of attractiveness to the object of desire. Now, this is very interesting. Nobody else is creating that halo around the object of desire. So, whenever we like something, we just give it so much energy. मुझे वही चाहिए कि सारी energy हमारी वहीं पे जा रही है, and that by itself is creating that significant, that light, that halo around that object, which becomes so bright that we are completely blinded and we are not able to see anything else at all. And that's the moment when our discrimination can go for a complete toss.
So here, one thing is the dog is ugly. Okay. The other is it belongs to a neighbor. Okay. But still, boy Shri Yukteswarji or Priyanath, as he would have been called at that time, he really wants that dog only. Now, this theme of attachment is something which um, really Master has been dwelling on for in almost every talk that he has given, in every teaching that he has given. And he says that the root of all attachment is actually attachment to ego. And with that attachment to ego also comes the sanskars that we have. They drive our likes and dislikes. So the free will that we feel, and we feel that no, I'm going to exert my free will and I'm going to do what I want, we are actually not doing what we want. We're actually doing what the past sanskars are forcing us to do. So in doing that, there is no free will. And the antidote to that is what Master says: no matter how far away God seems from you, live always in the thought that you belong with Him. And no matter how real your material life appears and how real your attachment to it seems, hold it at a distance by reminding yourself of its impermanence. A blade of grass looks tiny when you hold it at the arm's length, but when you bring it up close to your eye, it appears large. Even so, the experiences of this life seem important to you only because you hold them so close to you. You allow them completely to possess your thoughts and feelings. Distance yourself from them mentally, even a little bit, and you will quickly realize their insignificance relative to the vast truth that beckons to you from infinity. And this is also the reason why two very important advice is given by Master and Swamiji is: one, when you feel that you are being driven by emotion, being driven by past desires, or something is really pulling at you, take a pause, give it a break before you act on it or before you react on it. That pause helps settle down, dissolve that blind attraction that is pulling at you. And also the very important and crucial need for seclusions. What seclusions do is they create that distance between what we are attached to, whether it is ours or neighbors, but whatever we are attached to, it just creates that distance, and that distance helps bring the perspective, clarifies a lot of things. And that is why some people here keep taking seclusions and others aspire to take seclusions. Third story now.
Yes. So, a third story concerns the plasticity of the youthful mind. I heard my mother remark occasionally, a man who accepts a job under anyone is a slave. That impression became so indelibly fixed that even after my marriage, I refused all positions. I met expenses by investing my family endowment in land. Moral, good and positive suggestions should instruct the sensitive ears of children. Their early ideas long remain sharply etched. Now, what is interesting here is not necessarily the suggestion. I mean, the story here is not about whether you should take a position, whether you should work under somebody else or not. The idea here is that the one instruction which his mother gave lasted with him throughout his life, and we now know through all scientific studies that children up to a certain age are quite impressionable. And even in our Living Wisdom School, in Education for Life, Swami Kriyananda has specifically categorized different age buckets: 0 to 6, 6 to 12. Montessori schools, I think, also follow a similar pattern where in the formative years of the child, there is a lot of focus which is given on the feeling and the emotional and the energy aspects of the child rather than any instructions, because how they respond to you is more by vibrations and they feel your consciousness more than what you say. So, of course, all of these hidden gems were known to our rishis thousands of years ago, and more and more forms of schooling are now introducing this kind of method of instruction, knowing how important those early years are. And then Master fell into tranquil silence after these three stories. Around midnight, he led me to a narrow cot. Sleep was sound and sweet the first night under my guru's roof. I can completely imagine how sweet it would have been. Sri Yukteswar chose the following morning to grant me his Kriya Yoga initiation. The technique I had already received from two disciples of Lahiri Mahasaya, father and my tutor Swami Kebalananda. But in Master's presence, I felt transforming power. At his touch, a great light broke upon my being, like glory of countless suns blazing together. A flood of ineffable bliss, overwhelming my heart to an innermost core, continued during the following day. It was late that afternoon before I could bring myself to leave the hermitage. Now, a lot of people who come to classes over here to Ananda, uh, they progress through level 1, level 2, and obviously many people are eager to receive Kriya. And they ask this question: is it necessary for me to take initiation? Do I have to accept Yogananda and these line of masters as my guru? Can I not straight away jump into getting the Kriya initiation technique? But the difference is, you may receive the technique from any source possible. Hundreds of people can go online and receive the technique, but if the technique is not granted to you by your own guru, it merely remains a technique. It does not have a transforming power. And Master himself had received the initiation from two very high souls, his own father and Swami Kebalananda. So it is not about the fact that you need to just receive a technique from a very high soul or even a self realized master. It is about receiving it from your own divinely ordained guru. And only then will you feel the touch of transfixing power. And what happens here is very interesting. At his touch, a great light broke upon my being, like glory of countless suns blazing together. So when a self-realized master grants that touch to you, while Yukteswarji in his physical body is the one granting that touch, but there is absolutely no ego, which means that the light which is flowing through Mukunda from Yukteswarji's mortal frame is the light which is coming from God directly, because there is absolutely no instruction, no obstruction, no limitation that inhibits the flow of that light coming from a self-realized master. Which is why it's so important to, in the absence of a guru in his physical body, that we constantly try to attune at least our consciousness, which can be uplifted to receive that ray of light without any obstruction.
And this is this Kriya Diksha. This some people also call it the Shaktipat, transferring of the touch, the power from guru to the disciple. Um, of course, in this case, master was also a pure channel. So at that touch, he could see the lights. He could see. We've also, as we'll see later on, when Lahiri Mahashaya initiated people, especially that when he initiated his wife, she could immediately see the spiritual eye, and he guided her through the spiritual eye. That may not happen with everyone, but one thing definitely happens is a transformation, which you can feel immediately. But at the time of discipleship and also at the time of Kriya, there is an inner transformation that starts, an inner glory that stays with you for some time. It can be a day, 2 days, 3 days, depends on the person to person. I experienced it, many people that I know experienced it. And so um, this is very real and very sacred. And this is also another reason why people keep coming again and again to Kriya initiations, because you get to receive that touch again. Not that the first time you receive the touch it is kind of diluted away. No, it doesn't dilute away, but it's also a form of seva. Of course, we come together to support our newly being ordained initiated guru bhais. But it's good to keep connecting back to the source in a more tangible way, of course, while keeping the guru inside.
Dr. Lewis had also seen the spiritual eye or the light when Master first touched him.
Yeah,
And Dr.
he
Lewis
saw the
is
thousand petals lotus actually.
the very first time, right?
Yes.
And as many of you would know, Dr. Lewis was Master's first student in America. He would come to him at a time when there was nobody else. And obviously, it's not a coincidence that the first student who came to Master was already a very high soul, which is what gave him the ability to receive that touch and see the thousand petal lotus. It's not like Master went to America and he was looking for students to come and teach, and then one, stray brother walked in and said, "Can you give me the light? Can you make me experience God?" No, it all happens through a divine plan.
And also on a side note, that first meeting happened on a Christmas Eve, or it was Christmas evening, and his wife was waiting at home. And by the time Dr. Lewis was done with Master and he was going home, it was very late, and he knew that he was sure now it's going to be trouble. But when he entered the house, his wife, as soon as she saw his face, all the anger that she had melted away. So, Guru helps in many ways.
I hope we can get that touch of light before going back home today.
I am sorted today, brother.
You will return in 30 days. As I reached my Calcutta home, the fulfillment of Master's prediction entered with me. And this time, none of my relatives made the pointed remarks I had feared about the reappearance of the soaring bird. One more reason for that is Mukunda went with complete calm acceptance this time, and there was no resistance inside him. And normally speaking, when that happens, is that when you're absolutely calm from within and you accept whatever life has to offer to you, and in this case, your guru is telling you, please go back home, complete your education. Because he accepted that, there was no reaction from his family also this time, which is so interesting because somehow there is always this alignment between what's happening to us inwardly versus what reflects outwardly. And Mukunda straightaway went to his little attic and bestowed affectionate glances as though on a living presence. You have witnessed my meditations and the tears and the storms of my sadhana. Now I have reached the harbor of my divine teacher. And this is obviously the attic in 4 Garpar Road, which has seen a lot of meditations and prayers from Mukunda about granting him the wish of finding his guru.
So I always find very interesting and very edifying for me is, earlier also he had said that now I have reached the harbor of my divine teacher. Now generally we feel that we are on a journey, we are on the stormy seas or whatever our path is, and the goal is reaching God, and that's where we'll reach that's the harbor that we'll reach, right? But here he has said this twice. Before also he has said this to his friend after meeting Teshwarji in Banaras, and now again he's saying that now everything is well. I have reached the harbor of my guru, which essentially, to me, it says that once you are there with the guru, you're already there. It's just that there is some momentum, something which is to be carried out and will happen. But now you are sure and safe. Somebody is there who will pull you in. And I find that very comforting.
Yeah. And we should all find that very inspiring because we are all already there. The ones who are disciples, we are in very safe hands. And now, Mukunda's father, son, I am happy for us both. Father and I sat together in the evening calm. You have found your guru, as in miraculous fashion I once found my own guru. The holy land of Lahiri Maashe is guarding our lives. Your master was proved no inaccessible Himalayan saint, but one nearby. My prayers have been answered. You have not, in your search for God, been permanently removed from my sight. And it seems that all of this is such a happy ending because all the moments leading up to this, Mukunda is restless. He's trying to flee to the Himalayas. That's not successful. His father is worried. His elder brother is worried. And we all know that in the very first chapter, how his father came to meet Lahiri Mahashe. He manifested himself in the fields telling Bhagwati, you need to allow your employee to take a leave and come and visit me. And that's how his father first met Lahiri Mahashe because he wanted to go and see who is your guru who can actually intervene for you on your behalf and tells me that I need to grant you leave. Right? So, in a very miraculous way, like his father mentioned. And also, we need to realize if you read the book Mejda, his father after Mukunda's mother left her body, he would come back every single day, go back to his room and meditate for hours till evening. And even Swami Sri Yukteswar and Bhagwati shared a very special bond as brother disciples and as Guru Bhais of the same master. So it's important to tune into what's happening here. A true guru will respond to the call and the prayer of each devotees in a way that everybody's prayers are answered and that whole intricate web of karma finds itself in a beautiful conclusion. And this is exactly what his father is saying. My prayers have been answered. You have found your true guru, and his true guru has sent him back home to complete his studies, which means that Mukunda will be at home, or so we think, but we'll get to know what really happens. But at least he is not too far away from home because Serampur is barely about 10 miles from Garpur Road.
And I think this is also because there have been many saints who actually left their homes and have never contacted their families again, right? But Master's mission was very unique. One, he was already realized free. So there was no journey for him, there was no other purpose, but a very large world mission that he had come to do, which involved not just renunciates, but it involved actually people living in the world. And that does not exclude your own family members, which he also exemplified, even though he did become a monk because he wanted to dedicate his life solely to God. But then, with God and for God, he worked for everybody, and especially every member of his family almost received his direct help, guidance, Kriya initiation, and soared high on the spiritual path. That is something for us to also learn and, if possible, slowly implement in our families.
Father was also pleased that my former studies would be resumed. He made suitable arrangements. I was enrolled the following day at the Scottish Church College in Calcutta. Happy months sped by. My readers have doubtless made the perspicacious surmise that I was little seen in the college classrooms. The Serampore heritage held a lure too irresistible. Master accepted my ubiquitous presence without comment. To my relief, he seldom referred to the halls of learning. Though it was plain to all that I was never cut out for a scholar, I managed to attain minimum passing grades from time to time. Now, there are two or three very important lessons here. One, again, is the complete acceptance on the part of Mukunda. No resistance anymore. I have gone back home and I am going to resume my college studies because that is what my guru tells me to do. And with that acceptance, he went back to Serampur, and because maybe that's one of the reason why Yukteswarji never spoke about the classrooms. He never told him, why are you not spending time in your classrooms? Why are you spending more time here? Because there was complete absence of resistance or vritti which would draw that kind of energy back. And second, like Abhijit mentioned, being part of college and getting that degree was more to fulfill his life mission. Of course, with his master's grace, it was no doubt that he would pass all his exams. We've seen that before as well. And hence, Yukteswarji also knew that we are checking all the boxes one by one. He will get his college degree. And now, what is really important is for him to learn everything that he needs to learn from the perspective of going to the West and sharing the teachings further.
So, Master, in his openness to his guru, showed the importance of listening carefully, which he said that Saint Lin, Rajashi Janakananda exemplified as his own disciple. He listened carefully and he understood that Yukteswarji only said enroll in the college. He never said go and
Hmm.
attend the college. So he said that part I am free to ignore. Why should I assume? And he never asked his guru's permission. He just landed up there every day, and his guru didn't say anything. So good enough. And all this is happening, I think, around July, August 1910 is when this is happening. Mukunda is 16, 17 years old. Before joining this college, it's not there in autobiography, but he's already tried two colleges before. One, he went to a college in Bihar to learn agriculture. He stayed there for some time. He didn't find a spiritual environment there, so he came back home, not with a degree, but with a large cauliflower. Yes. Then he said, okay, I will become a doctor. So he enrolled for pre-med and he bought lots and lots of books. He's filled a whole almirah with all the books, and in a few days he threw all those books away. Okay. Then I think he went to Varanasi, to that hermitage, right? Brahmacharya something. And then when he came back here, he's enrolling to this Scottish Church College. Now, interestingly, this college from his 4 Garpad Road home, it's only 15 minutes walking. The Guru's home, Hermitage, is actually 1.5 hours away. He never takes this 15 minutes walk. And this college also is actually very interesting because who are the people who've studied in this college? Swami Vivekanand studied in this college. um, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada later studied in this college. Subhash Chandra Bose studied in this college. So the alumni of this college are really exemplary. And I think Master is one of the foremost in that list.
Suddenly, I feel very proud to be from Kolkata.
Yeah. Good you mentioned that.
Then Mukunda goes on to talk about the daily life at the ashram. I will probably skim through some of them quickly, but it's important to know that after Yukteswarji woke up from from a samadhi, breakfast did not follow. There used to be long walk by the Ganges, then midday meal, What is important here to note is that the preparation of the meals, according to Master's daily directions, had been the careful task of young disciples. So Yukteswar ji was not the kind who would remain distant from the day-to-day aspects or the duties that had to be carried out at the hermitage. He would not just here in this chapter, but we see several times even when there are large festivals which are happening, he will personally get involved in the cooking, making sure that nobody goes back home on an empty stomach. And my guru was a vegetarian. Before embracing monkhood, however, he had eaten eggs and fish. His advice to students was to follow any simple diet which proved suited to one's constitution. So, once again, he is not being very obsessed with the idea that this is what you should have and have only sattvic food and etc. etc. Whatever is suitable to your constitution is what is right for you to eat. Visitors appeared in the afternoons. A steady stream poured from the world into the hermitage tranquility. Everyone found in Master an equal courtesy and kindness. To a man who has realized himself as a soul, not the body or the ego, the rest of humanity assumes a striking similarity of aspect. Now, isn't this so interesting? Someone who has identified himself as the soul naturally can feel the underlying unity between all souls. And once you see that underlying unity, how can you see as one person different from another? This is exactly how Krishna looked at the whole world and Maya. But one who is identified with either the mind or the body or the ego, it is very natural that they will see the world, A, not only as separate from each other, but also through their own filter and through their own samskar and lenses. Like how you wear glasses, and without glasses, you may assume that everybody sees the world that way, but that is not so. And what glass is suitable for you may not be suitable for somebody else. So that's the key difference, and therefore there was absolutely no uh, partiality in who would receive his darshan. And then Mukunda goes on to say, the impartiality of saints is rooted in wisdom. Masters have escaped Maya. Its alternating phases of intellect and idiocy no longer cast an influential glance. Sri Yukteswar showed no special consideration to those who happened to be powerful or accomplished. Neither did he slight others for their poverty or illiteracy. He would listen respectfully to words of truth from a child and openly ignore a conceited pundit. 8
He,
o'clock was a supper hour, so it seems
so
like a very long day, in fact.
so here, as Shakespeare has also said, all the world is a stage. Masters can clearly see that everything is a stage, and there are two ways to look at it. One is, of course, in their highest level of wisdom, they can see that everything is just made of the same one fabric, and it's just images made by light and shadows. And so, one image is not important or due more consideration than any other image, right? The second thing which is very important is that also as a devotee, somebody who starts seeing God in everybody, you would actually start seeing the divine trying to play each one's life. It's the divine who's trying to struggle through a marriage and attain final emancipation through that soul. It's the divine who's trying to struggle through some bad habit, lack of understanding. And when you see that, you don't see the struggle, but you see the potential. And in that potential, everybody has the same highest potential, and so deserves that consideration, deserves looking at them from those eyes, and also deserve the help that they need to actualize that potential. And that is why masters keep coming back again and again to help every soul. And as master says, every atom is an individual, every atom ultimately has to become free. um, even science, astrophysics, and quantum physics also have started talking in somewhat similar terms. We'll not go into those details now, but it's very interesting how fast science is converging with the ancient wisdom of um, an intelligence force behind everything, and how nothing, even a vacuum that seems empty, is not really empty. Things spring out of vacuum, out of nothing, and they dissolve back into nothing. So, yeah, 8 o'clock.
Yeah. 8 o'clock was the supper hour and sometimes found lingering guests. My guru would not excuse himself to eat alone. None left his ashram hungry or dissatisfied, which is a very interesting point. Like I mentioned earlier, he would not distance himself from the day to day realities. In fact, more often than not, that we see in India, and like I mentioned in the last reading, when we grow up, we see sadhus or gurus where there'll be a swarm of disciples around them, and they will make sure that during certain hours that they are allowed to permitted to go inside, and there is no longer any interaction of energy between the master and the seekers, but none like this for Yukteswar ji. And I want to go through the following paragraph. Every word here is loaded with a lot of wisdom. So, in case you want, you may close your eyes and try to understand. And it's interesting that Abhijit mentioned science and their discoveries. If there is one thing I would like science to do, is to find us a way to time travel back into these amazing days at Yukteswarji's Hermitage. But our master is pretty much transporting back into helping all of us to transport back into those beautiful days, and you can almost feel that you're sitting at
Yeah.
Yukteswarji's feet.
So,
And
so before you begin, this principle of none leaving hungry is a time-honored principle. In almost every ashram that you go, people make sure that you are fed, at least, if not any other kind of feeding, at least physical feeding of food is given. Any saint that you see, Neem Karoli Maharaj was, as you would know, he was known to, whenever anyone will come, first that he will do is feed them, feed them puris, whatever is available, fruits. Once you're full, the stomach is full, then you feel a kind of satiation. And once you feel physically satiated, then that nervousness goes away, that physical nervousness goes away, at least for some time. And you're actually then open to calmly sit and receive something which is a higher wisdom. And this principle, I think we also try to honor this principle here by having prasad, so that anybody who comes can take the prasad, and even if the stomach is not fully full, the soul is full with the prasad.
so here we go. Let's try to follow every word of this paragraph. Quiet evening hours often brought one of my guru's discourses, treasures against time. His every utterance was measured and chiseled by wisdom. A sublime self assurance marked his mode of expression. It was unique. He spoke as none other in my experience ever spoke. His thoughts were weighed in a delicate balance of discrimination before he permitted them an outward garb. The essence of truth, all pervasive with even a physiological aspect, came from him like a fragrant exudation of the soul. I was conscious always that I was in the presence of a living manifestation of God. The weight of His divinity automatically bowed my head before Him. It just gives me goosebumps just to visualize everything which has been said here.
And this is also, having discrimination and saying something after having fully weighed it is also a very important aspect of the first yama, which is satya. And every master has been true to that principle, which is probably the founding principle of the entire spiritual journey, because satya essentially is truth, the reality, and everybody is trying to actualize, know that reality. So unless you start bringing that reality into your own daily life slowly and surely. You cannot proceed and know it in its full implication. How we can do it? Of course, we cannot suddenly become like Sri Yukteswarji. But what Master says, which we can do right now, is never let your mind be seduced by restlessness through joking too much, too many distractions, and so on. Be deep. As soon as you succumb to restlessness, all the old troubles will begin to exert their pull on the mind once again: sex, wine, and money. Of course, a little fun and laughter is good occasionally, but don't let light mindedness possess you. I too like to laugh sometimes, as you know, but when I choose to be serious, nothing and no one can draw me out of my inner self. Be deep in everything you do, even when laughing. Don't lose your inner calmness. Be joyful inside, but always inwardly a little withdrawn. Be centered in the joy within. Dwell always in the self. Come down a little bit when you have to eat, to talk, or to do your work, and then withdraw into that self again. Be calmly active and actively calm. That is the way of the yogi. And that is where I think we can start. And then I think Master will guide our steps from there on.
Yes. And I also want to take this opportunity to talk about how important it is to come together for satsangs. We may not have the benefit of Yukteswarji or Yogananda sitting here and imparting wisdom to us directly, but many of us have felt that whenever we come together, there is a lot of power in the satsang. So many people come here with doubts, with worries, with fears, with questions, and then uh, we start going through the timeless teachings, and all of them somehow have a way of figuring itself out, or all of those tensions just melt away. And it doesn't always have to be very formal. uh, I would encourage that we form smaller groups as much as possible, where you can just come together and go through specific chapters, pick up a book of the month, and try to tune into those things, because we are all disciples of great yogis, and we are all constantly trying to attune our consciousness with theirs. Not everybody in the world is trying to do that, which is why the company of each other can be very powerful and it can be very uplifting. Last week, Naya Swami Dhyana was here, and some of us had the opportunity to have an informal interaction with her, where after a long time or many years, she said, "Why don't you ask me your questions?" Now, it's whatever she may have responded. I don't think the answers necessarily is what is important here. It is what is important is the satsang that we had all together. Like she said, the satsang after the satsang, where everybody was sitting outside. So let us cherish those moments. Let us try to find good company of Guru Bhais and spend as much time as possible with each other. I'll just end with the last paragraph. If late guests detected that Sri Yuktesh was becoming engrossed with the infinite, he quickly engaged them in conversation. So you can imagine when Yukteswarji is in Samadhi, but some guests were still lingering them, he would still then try to make conversation with them. He was incapable of striking a pose or of flaunting his inner withdrawal. Always one with the Lord, he needed no separate time for communion. A self realized master has already left behind the stepping stone of meditation. The flower falls when the fruit appears. Uh, for anyone who knows about Asthanga's eight limbed yoga of Patanjali, we have the seventh stage, which is that of dhyana or meditation, and the eighth stage, which is that of samadhi, right? And as the book says, meditation is a stepping stone, or a self realized master has already left behind. So, meditation is just a stepping stone. So, while you can be in meditation, you could be completely absorbed in God or one of his 8 divine aspects, but there is still a degree of separation that remains between you, the person who is meditating, and that experience or that object of meditation. In samadhi, there is no separation whatsoever. There is purely a sense of expansion with the light, because only when you can become one with the light can you feel that expansion, that expansive quality which light has. And this is important to realize, a perfect example of a true Jivan Mukta, freed while living in the world but not of it. Could there be a better example than this? That I am in perfect communion with God at any given moment, and therefore there is no need to flaunt any kind of an inner withdrawal. I think, as far as I am concerned, this is something that I would really like to meditate on and maybe end today's session over here.
Yeah, it is very difficult to go through more than 2 3 pages from this chapter, especially. I mean, we finished many more pages in other chapters, but this chapter is all about that really special time when Mukunda was with his guru. And as Mitesh was saying, actually every line of this chapter is so deep that you can sit, read one paragraph, one line, meditate on it, and so much that comes out. Even if a fraction of it we can implement, if we can just um, think and assert from now on within ourselves that I'll be more careful in my speech with my intentions, I'll hold more to Satya. What will help with that? Less indulging in restless activities will help with that. So if I can be a little less restless, I mean, immediately achieving perfection may be a little difficult, if I may say so. But if you can take at least those little steps, and all of this is ultimately then powered by the presence of the divine. And for those who have a guru, it is that presence of divine flows to you through the guru. So keeping that guru's inward presence with us all the time, uh, Mukunda was, that is why he was very keen that I'll miss as many classes as I have to, but I'll keep the presence of my guru inward, and in his case even outward with me all the time. So keeping that presence for us inwardly primarily is very important. And of course, many more things that we've learned today, but let's see what has touched each of us, because the lesson that comes from any chapter, any reading, is very unique and may be different for each one of us. So let's think, what is it that has really touched us, and then we can hold on to it, and if we can make any change, then the job is much better done. So I think with this,
Yeah. So
let's do an arti.
we'll do an arti. So let's stand up for the arti, and then after the arti, you could come up to the altar and take your blessings. I'll take it there. I'll sit on the floor. Let's follow the flow, brother. I will sing thy name, I will drink thy name, and get all drunk with thy name. I will sing thy name, I will drink thy name, and get all drunk with thy name. Sri Yukte Yukteswar, Shri Yukteswar, Shri Yukteswar Om. Shri Yukteswar, Shri Yukteswar, Shri Yukteswar Om. Shri Yukteswar, Shri Yukteswar, Shri Yukteswar Om. Shri Yukteswar, Shri Yukteswar, Shri Yukteswar Om. I will sing thy name, I will drink thy name, and get all drunk with thy name. I will sing thy name, I will drink thy name, and get all drunk with thy name. Shri Yukteswar, Shri Yukteswar, Shri Yukteswar Om. 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 Om.